Hey everybody, I hope that you're all doing well. I was seeing a lot of stuff in the pre-shuffle, but we're just gonna focus on what comes out. We are starting off with King of Swords. When we have King of Swords, there can be stuff that we're working through. Usually with King of Swords, there can be some type of analysis and understanding that's happening. You can be kind of making progress with, it can be something that you've been thinking about, something that you've been working through. So we can list a couple different things. This can mean that you're making progress with expressing yourself. You could be making progress with something that you are writing, something that you're working on. This can be like a conversation that you feel like is expanding. This can be something about your future that you're figuring out and that you feel like you're kind of moving forward with, and that things are becoming more clear to you. So whatever this is, it's going to feel kind of like on the intellectual front or on the mental front that something is progressing, and you can definitely feel like there's some type of movement that you'd been hoping for. It can also be on the communication front as well. This could be something about where you're going that's being discerned too. I think I kind of said that, but maybe not exactly with those words. All right, we do have a Tower that's coming out. When this happens, it may give you like a little bit more to be dealing with. I feel like I saw this combination, something similar to this recently. I see, okay, Tower, Seven of Swords is when something gets exposed. So this can be something, basically, it's kind of like something had been moving around, but it hadn't been observed before. It hadn't been realized. There wasn't an awareness about this. But when the Tower happens, it's almost like, it's like somebody moving around behind the curtain, or like in the dark, we can say. And the Tower can be when the light goes on, and then you just see that thing that's been happening there that wasn't being seen before. So I definitely see this as a movement for like some type of exposure. And it's definitely, it can be uncovering something that had been going on as well. I feel like there was a moving in that direction already, and it can kind of be a time when you've been like mining for something, and then that thing, like something pops up here within this process that's been happening. But it can be something that was like undiscovered before. Yeah, I see something that was hidden before. But this, keep in mind, this can be something that you were hiding from yourself. You know, it could have been like a way that you were thinking that like wasn't clear. And now can be a time when you see things and you're like, okay, I'm seeing where I had like been really off track there with the way that I was perceiving that. And now I'm kind of seeing this game that I'd been playing with myself. But it doesn't just have to be like you with yourself here, you know. If you have another person or other people involved in this situation, you can be seeing something happen here. But I definitely get it being one of those moments where whatever was going on, it was like happening in some way where there was something like covering it, and then the cover being moved, and then just like seeing what had been going on. So yeah, whatever had been covering this up is no longer covering this up. You can see where you had been avoiding something. You can be seeing where somebody else had been avoiding something. This can also be a time when, like, if this is an energy that's around you, this can be a time when somebody around you realizes that they've been running away from something or like hiding from something, you know, like whatever it is, I'm seeing it be feeling kind of like the truth is sort of out there now in a way that it hadn't been before. And there can be kind of like stuff that was getting in the way no longer really in the way anymore. Because I'm looking at this Ace of Cups, which means that there's something that's going on here that's connected with a chapter that can begin, but it also feels like something that was possibly being shied away from or avoided before. I feel like there's so much more to say, but I need more information, so we're gonna pull another little row of cards. Having Three of Wands speak about like future and stuff that can happen up ahead, and then also having Hanged Man speak about like delays and time lapses and whatnot. This can mean that there's something about the timing here where something may not have happened immediately. But there could have been some sort of like delayed reaction or delayed exposure, something like that, where it feels like it didn't, yeah, something didn't happen immediately given this. Yeah, overall, I wonder if this was you trying to do something, but also trying to see everything clearly regarding kind of what had been going on. And you could have been trying to make things happen, but there could have been stuff in the environment that wasn't really allowing for that. I mean, it can be you, but I feel more so like this was stuff that was going on in the environment, actually. Yeah, I see kind of like finding something out. So weird the way that the energy is. Okay, so we have King of Swords. This is going to be you looking at things. It can be you wanting to figure things out. Even though we have an Ace of Cups here and we have like other cups energy here, I feel like this is more tackling things from a place of like logically wanting to understand stuff and wanting to break something down, because King of Swords is about seeing through to really get to the truth and the clear essence of things, to make sure that there's nothing really that we're missing. This feels like you end up concluding, if you're the one that's the King of Cups here, I'm also seeing a Queen of Cups. This means that there was something going on where there was a potential and there was a possibility, but it seems like it's being let go of. Because I'm also seeing this be Ace of Cups is looking at the Hanged Man, which means that there can be a chapter that's being let go of for now. This can be something that's being delayed, and that it can be not going to come into play until later. And there can also just be a, like, it may also not happen. So that can be something too that's going on here as well. You can feel like you kind of made progress moving through this on the emotional front. You could have also seen something that you didn't like too, having Page of Swords and having Four of Cups. It's like when you're looking at something and you feel like, I don't know, I may no longer be interested anymore. And yeah, something that you could have decided was that something was not going to work for you in the way that you needed to. You can still be feeling upset about that, having Five of Cups be on the bottom of the deck, but you can be moving into a space that you feel like is more collaborative and more supportive for you. So regardless of what type of situation this was, it seems like stuff was maybe being discussed and there was a progression of kind of where things were going. But then I'm seeing Tower and I'm seeing Judgment. So this can be kind of like unexpected conclusion being come to. Having Seven of Swords and having Nine of Cups can be somebody sabotaging something that they want. So if this isn't you, this can be whoever this is that you've been dealing with, you know, like somebody could have been doing things, somebody could have been sabotaging what they want. This also can mean too that somebody was like not being upfront about what it was that they wanted to, being unclear about things while still trying to like kind of get what they want, but there was like a lack of transparency about that. And I'm seeing something about like wanting to kind of Four of Cups and Queen of Cups can be feeling turned off by a situation, and then having Hanged Man and having Eight of Cups can be like, I feel like this isn't really working, and so there can be kind of an offshoot of the energy then at that point that can be sort of what's decided about this. Because I think with Hanged Man it can be like, I'm just gonna let go of this and I'm gonna kind of like move on to the next thing. Having that be connected with Eight of Cups, that doesn't mean that there's not potential here. I'm definitely seeing potential, but I'm seeing something else that feels like it's blocking this from moving any further, and that may have been just what was assessed at the end of the day. And there could have been a like, okay, I see what's going on here and I'm asking myself what I want, and it's not whatever is going on here. So you may have just like thrown the whole situation out because you felt like there was nothing else really to do, because it's not really viable with this stuff that's going on in the environment. Because I see something here where if you're the King of Swords, you can be dealing with somebody that won't be transparent on the emotional front with you. Like they have something going on, and you can feel like if you're in a place of like honesty and truth, this person is not a vibrational match for you right now. And you may have not seen that initially, but the closer you kind of got to this situation could have been something that you realized moving through it. That doesn't mean that there's not a genuine connection. I'm seeing there's actually a lot of potential for things to be working. But what I'm also seeing is that this Seven of Swords is connected with the Queen of Cups, which means that this is somebody that can be very emotionally avoidant. They can avoid intimacy. They can avoid vulnerability on the emotional front. They can avoid being honest about their feelings, like these sorts of things. So they can hide. So it can sort of force you to, like, how do you really work within a situation like that? And this could have been something that you saw going on. Maybe it, like, if you see a Seven of Swords, you see somebody moving weird, it may have really turned you off in relation to, like, the entirety of this situation, actually. And you could have just been, like, release it back to the universe. And not because you want to, but because you could have felt like that's what you had to do. Because you could have felt, too, like you'd have to kind of lie to yourself to say that you'd be okay with this. Because then, like, their like sideways energy is something that's going to then make you have to go into a sideways energy. You know, like if you're in a place of truth with yourself, you see this and you don't like it and it's not resonating with you, you have two options. One, you can say, I'm not going to participate in it, and then you like stay in your vibration. Or this is something that you look at and you lie to yourself and you're like, maybe I can be okay with it. And then because you're not really, you have to kind of like abandon yourself and like maybe your morals or your integrity or your like self-truth or whatever to participate in this. Then you sink to the vibration that this person is at to be able to like play in the cycle with them. And it's not really one that you want to be in anyway. So it kind of, their energy forces you to choose. You can't be with me in the energy that you're in now, so you're either going to stay in your energy and you're going to walk away from me, or you're going to sink down to like basically resonate to my energy, and then we'll be able to move around. But this feels like something that, I mean, it's a Seven of Swords. Why do you want to do that? You can feel like this won't really allow you to connect with what it is that you want on a deeper level. And that can be something that you don't do anymore. Like when we have Queen of Cups and we have Neptune here with Hanged Man, this can mean that you've gone through cycles that are associated with like having issues with boundaries, martyrdom, self-sacrifice, putting up with things that you shouldn't put up with. And this can be a time when you're like, I don't do that anymore. I don't live like that anymore. This is something that I've learned to heal within myself, and so I'm not going to be entertaining this sort of thing. But it could have been something that you did not expect to be part of this cycle, is the way that it seems. And also too, I will say this again, just to validate, I'm seeing you have a genuine connection here, but that doesn't mean that the vibration is in a resonant compatibility. So yeah, there is definitely a connection here, just to validate that. There's definitely something that I'm seeing here. There's definitely potential. But because of the way that this other person is showing up within the connection, or like not really showing up within the connection, that's what's not allowing this to work. And it feels too like it wasn't easy, but you may have needed to look at this like really, really closely and ask yourself, do I want this type of thing? And your conclusion can be like, no, I don't want to be in a cycle like this. That doesn't mean that you don't like this person or that you don't want to be with them, but it can just be energetically not something that you want to be involved in like this. But you can be feeling sad. I'm seeing Five of Cups on the bottom of the deck. Yeah, so overall, this just feels like a huge thing that had to be discerned between you and this person, and it brought you to a place of having to make a choice, because I'm seeing the Lovers here. Yeah, I'm seeing it kind of be like, you know, when like a dominoes are being set up and you're gonna hit them and then it'll like do the whole thing. This feels like all of the dominoes, or like the card house that you were creating but that didn't get to finish being made. It just like the whole thing gets swiped over. It feels like one of those moments. So this can be something that like it genuinely feels really upsetting what was happening, but it feels like the foundation was not stable for this situation to stand on. So it's kind of like your legs getting swept out from underneath you, but as it relates to what you were kind of building within this situation. Yeah, I see somebody where it's like, I don't really think that you have different priorities if everybody was in a place of pure priorities here. I think you would probably be on the same page with this person, but this person, they do not see their priorities clearly. Like what they can be prioritizing is kind of like safeguarding themselves, keeping themselves safe, and being willing to not be truthful in order to do that. And so you can again just be in a different place than this person. It's kind of like they have not clarified their priorities and what they're prioritizing. It doesn't come from a place within them where their heart is open. It comes from basically their priorities. What's motivating the things that they're prioritizing is fear right now, and yours are different. And so that's also just another I guess, way of explaining that you guys are in different vibrations right now. That's why. And when I say that, I mean you're being motivated by different things, and so certain energies, it's gonna clash. It's like not really gonna be able to play within the polarity of each other. Like you're not in that polarity resonance with this person. So it wasn't going to be fair, because what this means is that you could have showed up wholeheartedly, and that this person would not have been doing that because they're concerned with like self-preservation and not vulnerability and love. So you get what I'm saying? Like it wouldn't have felt like they're showing up 100% just like you are, and that's why. But I'm getting that like you, if this person, if they were doing the shadow work, you guys would be compatible with each other. It's just because they're just in the shadow right now. That's why. But that also means too, you know, like things can change. This person can start doing shadow work. Something can happen. But I think for now, it's kind of like a no-go. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing like this was something that you were open to. I am for sure seeing that things could work, but at the same time, like everybody chooses. There are different things that go into why situations work with other people. And one of them is like the raw compatibility that you have with another person. But the other thing is about what station they're tuned to, meaning what's motivating them. And if it's love and truth and openness and honesty that's motivating somebody, versus fear that is motivating them, and you guys are motivated by two different things here, and that's why this isn't working. But if you would switch over to being motivated by fear, you could have this dynamic with this person. If this other person would shift over and be motivated by love and honesty and vulnerability and transparency, then it would work. But it doesn't work with where you guys are right now, and that's why. But that doesn't mean there's still a whole lot of potential here. But I think as far as for right now, it doesn't. And it feels like the point of this was to see that and to understand the mathematics of it. But this could also be something that was really difficult to see as well about this entire thing. You know, like it could have been something where you could have been lying to yourself about it. But you could have also been like, why am I going to do that to myself? You know, it's just only going to be harmful to you at the end of the day. But yeah, I just want you to know, like, some of you in the future, you're going to be making up with this person. Some of you, this was the old story and you can be making up with them now. So just know that this, you know, like Death card wasn't here. This may not be finished, even though people can kind of be like separating or whatever, you know. It didn't look like one of those situations where you're not compatible with them on a regular day. So if somebody changes, this is something that could come back together. Just to throw that out there and give you all of the information. If you're at the spot where this just happened, it's not going to work for right now. But that doesn't mean that things can't change and things could end up working later down the line. So yeah, just know that. But you're not meant to be waiting around. The way that I was seeing the energy be was to look at something. If it's not working now, you have to let it go and just say, like, if it comes back around, it comes back around, but I'm not putting my life on hold for this. Okay? But I think when we don't want to accept that, we can sort of do that. But then it's going to be not putting you in a very good place, you know, within your life, and like not really allowing things to move forward. So just like a lot to take in. Give yourself time to process. We are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.